What's up, everybody? DB here. Pat is turning his light down so it doesn't look like a chicken in the grease light at KFC. This is the PGA Championship 2019. We are excited about this week's show. It's going to be a good one. Pat's looking much better in the light now. Listen, it's TJ After Dark, presented by DraftKings. This is going to be electric, I think that's what the folks say. I think that's what the kids say.
Electric is a good term.
I think that's what the kids say nowadays, is electric. I've got an electric shirt on that says Boom, now available in the tourjunkies.com shop. Pat, we're here to talk about the PGA Championship. We just recorded the podcast. It is extremely late. It is definitely TJ After Dark. It is nearly TJ Before Dawn. And the people need to know, what do they need to expect out of Bethpage Black, all right? Because Bethpage is an interesting golf course. It has been the host site of the U.S. Open. It has been the host site of a FedEx Cup Tour Championship leg, if you will. But it has never been the host site of the PGA Championship. And so, first of all, before we get into some disagreement and a few DK Sportsbook favorites, while I take a sip of an unnamed adult beverage that shall not receive any free paid ads, what would you say about Bethpage Black?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is a course we don't see a lot in major championships. As a matter of fact, we've only seen it twice. We've seen it in the 2002 and the 2009 U.S. Opens. Totally different style players won both of those, by the way. In 2002, it was Tiger, and in 2009, it was Lucas Glover, who we've seen a little bit of form out of. So you got kind of your, at the time in 2002, sort of your bomber, but a good ball striker. And then in 2009, obviously a great ball striker and Lucas Glover. But here's the thing. This course is extremely difficult whenever it's set up for majors. It's very narrow as far as the fairways are concerned. There's a lot of rough when it comes to off the tee. So you got to hit these fairways. And then on the greens, they're not, very big greens, a lot of rough around them, a lot of bunkers that come into play and that are also kind of gnarly. These are some interesting bunkers. So you got to be good scrambling around the greens, especially as far as the bunkers are concerned. And then the Poana, it's something, the Poana surface is not something we typically see this time of year because we're normally playing those warmer weather type courses. But this year we're going to get a New York course up in the north. So it could be interesting. So look, it's playing long, it's playing difficult, 7,500 yards. This is a long course. So bombers are obviously, as they are typically almost week in and week out, are going to have a little bit of advantage. But I do think you're going to have to hit fairways, going to have to hit greens. So that's one of the reasons I like some ball strikers here at Bethpage Black.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, Pat. Well, it sounds good. I will say this. We got a little caddy insight late breaking on the Tour Junkies podcast this week while we were recording. And so we literally read.
Stuff. I like that you're mentioning this because that's what happens. That can happen at any time if you're listening to our show.
Yeah.
You never know when we're going to get some caddy insight. Never know. It could happen in the middle of the show, which is what happened tonight.
Yeah, it really did. We have about 6 or 7 caddies that we've got a good relationship with that are on the grounds at Bethpage Black. And one tweeted us in the middle of the recording. We read it off on air on Tour Junkies. You can listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, basically, or tourjunkies.com. But it gave you a little insight into how the course is looking to be set up so far at Bethpage. So, Pat, let's start off with a little disagreement here. I think I feel like for the most part near the top, we pretty much agreed. We got down into the 8K range, and a player that you mentioned at $8,100, Adam Scott. I'm pretty sure I remember you saying his name. And you picking him.
I did. I'll go ahead and confirm that for you.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I don't like Adam Scott. I don't like his pleats. I think his pleated pants are egregious. And I feel like no player should have to deal with, a couple of very wide pleated pants on the tour. And that's really my hard-hitting analysis, other than the fact that he can't putt worth a crap. And yeah, there's basically that. That's why I disagree with you.
So, all right, let me get this straight. Okay, let me get. So pleats. We'll start with pleats because that's probably the main reason. Putting, and then whatever else. Just a bunch of gobbledygoo.
It's mainly pleats. It's mainly the pleats.
Yeah, I love that. I think, as a matter of fact, now that you say the pleat deal, I'm even more inclined to take some Adam Scott. Look,
it's ridiculous.
This is a guy.
It's 2019.
8,100 on DraftKings. I think that's a great price for him. He is a guy that always contends in majors. And you look, I mean, even nobody really talked about him going into the Masters a few weeks ago, and he finished top 20, which I like. I'm okay with that for a guy that's 8,100 on DraftKings. I'm good with that. And then when you look at the stats, I mean, he's not going to wow you, but he's always good off the tee. He's always a great ball striker. He's not like the longest guy in the field, but he hits fairways, he hits greens. I like that about Adam Scott, and I think he's going to be low-owned again when he shouldn't be. And so that's one of the reasons that I think he's a good play this week. So, look, pleats aside and everything there, this 8K range is an interesting range here because you got a lot of guys who are going to be popular, like a Kuchar, like a Hideki, like a Paul Casey, even Patrick Cantlay, just above Adam Scott at 8,200, who I think a lot of people are going to be on. So I think people are going to just kind of forget Adam Scott. And I like that for when it comes to a tournament play. So I'm okay with that. I mean, here's the deal. And as a matter of fact, just below Adam Scott, and I'm with you. We talked about this. We actually have a lot of agreement up top. So I think this is where the kind of the sweet spot is for you and I to disagree, is in this 8K range. And I don't understand Bubba. You like Bubba Watson on the podcast.
Yeah.
Freaking Bubba Watson.
Yeah.
This is make no mistake about it. This is the PGA Championship, but this is on a U.S. Open style course. And if you're going to talk, if you're talking about the guys that can play well in the U.S. Open when it comes to not only hitting fairways, but not getting frustrated because it can play difficult, a guy that, that's got to have their head about him, that can be level-headed on the golf course. Bubba is not that guy. So I don't care if it's a PGA Championship and they may set it up a little bit easier than you could for a U.S. Open, which is possible, but I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty difficult. I think Bubba's going to have a hard time out here. And if you're looking at it, switch this up and let's just say this is the U.S. Open and not the PGA Championship.
Which is
you are not taking Bubba. I know you're not. I know David Barnett. You are not taking Bubba Watson in a U.S. Open style course because it just does not fit him in all senses of anything.
In all senses of anything. Is that your hard-hitting analysis? In all senses of anything, it's not fitting Bubba Watson. Okay. Well, it is because, number one,
he's 121st, by the way, in the field in driving accuracy. Throw that out there.
One of the things I think is really important is strokes gained off the tee. Bubba gains a lot of strokes off the tee. I do think that length matters. I do think you have to be in the fairway, but I think Bubba is creative enough. He'll do just fine at Bethpage. He's second in the field in strokes gained off the tee. He's $8,000 on DraftKings. He will be low owned. I say less than 10%, I think, is probably what's going to happen with Bubba. I mean, maybe he gets talked up a good bit. I don't know. He's 23rd in strokes gained putting on Poana over the last 100 rounds. Bubba likes Poana. Bubba putts well on Poana. This is Poana golf. It's interesting. And over the long term, 100 rounds, he's doing pretty good in Poana. So I like Bubba in terms of the Poana. He's also in pretty good form. I mean, 12th at the Masters, 4th at the Valspar. Had a little hiccup at the Players, made the cut, whatever, not great. 17th at the Arnold Palmer, 15th at the Genesis, 4th at the Waste Management. I mean, Bubba's been playing some pretty good golf this year, and I think he's flying a little bit under the radar. So in terms of GPPs, I'm not saying he's a cash play. I don't think he's a cash play. I don't. But I do think he's a GPP, a viable option. Play. I know. I'm just clarifying for the viewer that I don't think he's a cash play. But I think for a GPP, I think he's a viable option to help differentiate you from the field on DraftKings. I don't think he's going to be that popular. So there it is. I have one more guy that I think you should not be talking about. And he is at $7,900, and his name is Henrik Stenson. Now, Henrik Stenson at $7,900 on DraftKings does gain some strokes off the tee with his 3-wood, but he does not do so well with his driver. And in fact, even overall, if you look at the last 24 rounds, he's 114th in strokes gained off the tee, which I think is arguably the most the most important stat that you can look at this week for the PGA Championship. And even in form, I mean, at 7,900, you don't need him to like top 10, but you need him to do something. Like his last few finishes, he did finish 20th last week, which, by the way, gained 0 strokes off the tee. He did it all with his irons. 28th at the Wells Fargo, 36th out of like 80-something at the Masters, 24th at the Valspar, miscut at the Players. I mean, his last really good finish was the Hero, and he finished 4th out of 18 players. I don't know that Henrik Stenson is a guy I want to invest in on DraftKings. Despite being $7,900, I think there's plenty of value in the $7K on DraftKings, and you can avoid Henrik. Convince me otherwise while I take a sip of an unnamed adult beverage.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy that, like you mentioned, actually, if you start the year with Stenson, he wasn't that great. I mean, he just hasn't been in great form. But, I mean, he's improved every week. He was 36th at the Masters, like you said, but then he improved 28th at the Wells Fargo. Then at the Byron Nelson,
he improved
T20.
by 2 spots. Okay.
No, then T20 at the Byron Nelson. So he's a guy that, look, it's 7,900. If I can get a guy like Stenson, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, he's just as solid as they come. He's won a major before. I mean, he's a great ball striker. He's 36th in the field in ball striking. He's also 13th in the field in driving accuracy, which is going to be key. Like, look, I mean, don't get so caught up in just the bombers and everything else. You've got to hit fairways. And you know what? He can hit a fairway with the 3-wood, okay? It's fine. It's okay. Yes, I know you got to have some length, but I'm good with where he is there. And you know what? I mean, he checks the box also in scrambling. So I think Henrik Stenson is a good pick at 7,900. I like him and Garcia, by the way, both right there at the top there. No problems whatsoever taking them. And as a matter of fact, if you're going to fade them, I'm good with that. I think you're like everyday Joe guy anyway. So you're probably like with all the other faders in the world.
Me and everyday Joe just fading away. Jeez. All right. Well, let's transition to some DK Sportsbook picks for the PGA Championship. Here's the thing. There's a couple short odds guys I like, but for the most part, I think DK gives you a nice price break on a few of these guys at longer odds, and it is golf, so it's variable AF. So Pat,
agree.
Who you like on DK Sportsbook? Who you gonna put a little unit on?
I will tell you the shortest odds guys I have are both actually on the DK Sportsbook. They have the same odds, and that is Tommy Fleetwood and also Xander Schauffele. They're both at 28-1. I think that's very good value for solid players that can win this tournament. And obviously, if you're going to take a guy that you want to put some money on, you want them to win. And at 28-1, I am good with both those guys. I think those are very good plays there.
I like both.
On the shorter end, those are the two guys that I like the most.
I like both of those guys. I'll take Hideki at 35-1. I've been riding Hideki all season long. Ball striking is absolutely impeccable. You're waiting on the putter to hit. We know that golf is a variable game. Putting is the most variable part of said game. And I think you're waiting on Hideki to knock that out. So he's been proving it with the ball striking off the tee and in the fairways. You just need the putter to hit. 35-1 for Hideki bot. I love it. I'll take that on DK. What about some mid-length guys?
Mid-length guys, I've got one in here that I like, and it's somebody that you don't like, but I'm a big fan of, and that's Stenson at 66-1. I think those are very good odds there. I mean, look, you're getting a top player in the world at 66-1 in a major. I'll take it. So that's kind of my main guy in the mid range, and I've got a few others. I got one other long range, and then a couple first round leader bets.
All right, in the mid for me, I mean, similar to you and Stenson, I like Bubba at 60-1. I also like Gary Woodland at 66-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think both of those guys fit the golf course, hit the ball a long way, good iron players as well. So those are my mid-range guys. All right, so you have first-round leader bets? You don't have any long shots for outright winners?
I do have one long shot that I like, and I mentioned him on the podcast, and that's Ben On. He's 7,100 on DraftKings, but he's 150-1.
He's also hurt, but okay, other than that, yep, great.
I'm okay with that. Look,
you're okay with him hurt.
We've seen
okay,
lately
good.
guys like Kiradek Anthony Barnett had like a freaking ACL injury or some crap, and he would finish top 10 last week. So, screw injuries. I feel like injuries in golf are like, I don't know. Like, you can't trust that at all.
Yeah, screw injuries. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think longer shot guys I like at 100-1 are Rafa Cabrera-Bello and Jonathan Vegas. Both checking the box off the tee, both checking the box in putting on POA. Jonathan Vegas outspoken about enjoying this golf course, really liking the challenge that Bethpage presents. So I like those guys at 100-1.
I would rather have those two guys as first-round leader bets. I don't know what the odds are for those two guys on first-round leaders, but I don't think either one of those guys are going to win the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them at a first-round leader bet.
I think it's a first-round leader bet. They could be good one.
I will say this. One last long shot I have, and I don't have any first-round leader bets yet, but one long shot I like is J.B. Holmes at 200-1. He's a proven PGA Tour winner. He has contended in majors before. He hits the ball a very long way. He's 200-1. I think DraftKings, man, I mean, love you guys. Appreciate you guys letting us do this. But P.S., you guys really overprice some of these dudes. I mean, 200-1 is a big number for a guy like J.B. Holmes. So I think a small unit, half unit, on J.B. Holmes outright at 200-1 is worth it. Okay. The rest of your plays, Mr. Perry?
All right, so I mentioned Ben On as a long shot. I'm going to go with a couple of first-round leader bets here. I like some Keegan Bradley at 80-1, kind of a guy that tends to come out hot.
I like it.
I don't know if he's going to win the tournament, but I do like him as a first-round leader bet. And then also Erik van Rooyen at 125-1, a guy who's been on fire on the European Tour. You never know. I mean, in an event like this,
yeah,
you just get some random stuff that happens in the first round. And I could see a guy like Erik van Rooyen at 125-1, just all of a sudden popping up on the leaderboard, having a great first round. So there you go. I think that's it for me.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. That is Tour Junkies After Dark presented by DraftKings. We are here for the PGA Championship. Listen, we've got a lot of good stuff cooking up for this week, so check it out, tourjunkies.com, DraftKings, your one-stop shop. Your one-stop shop for, some DFS and some content for the PGA Tour. Best contest in the game. Hands down. Get in that Millie Maker, you know what I mean? Get in that Millie Maker. Win you $1 million. And then credit the Tour Junkies for helping you play some guys that helped you win $1 million. All right. That's it. Make your screens be green. That means you're winning money. See ya!